Uh, yeah. Hi, guys. Um, I thought let me make an effort today to join the stream on time. Well, I'm already like a minute or two late, but yeah, I'm just gonna give a few people to join. We will start shortly. So let's see. Okay. Yeah. So let me say greetings. Hi to everyone. And hi to all the designers out there in Africa. And yeah, so if you're joining us, please just greet us, say hi, tell us which country you are streaming from. And yeah, so I know some people are probably driving on their way home, or some are busy finishing up their day. And yeah, so, anyways, yeah, if you join us, just greet us. And yeah, I'm gonna try to keep this session short. I'm actually even thinking of doing like 30 minutes sessions, as from next week. And yeah, again, we continue to experiment with the sessions, and we continue to see what works and what doesn't, and we continue to seek out for different ways of doing things. So yeah, if you want to present a topic, please let me know. In the past, we've had a number of speakers from various countries. South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, etc. And yeah, even actually from other African designers who are based overseas. So yeah, it was quite interesting. Yeah, and look, guys, it does take a bit of effort, to reach out to people and ask people to come and present. So I'm trying to manage my energy, right now. But I think eventually at some point, I'll try to get a few, speakers to contribute. And yeah, so sometimes I would get even like people to join me, to have a discussion in the session, just to have a variety, in these topics. Is great. Anyways, yeah. So I can see that there are people, who are streaming, who have joined us. Please just say hi, in the comment section, and yeah, let us know which country you're from. It's always great to see who's with us. So yeah, guys, yeah, I don't want to waste too much time, and yeah, so today's topic is gonna be short and sweet. I'm gonna share my screen quickly, and yeah, just give me a moment. Just wanna see. Um, okay. Yeah, so we're here to connect, inspire, and build an African design community. That's what we're about. And let me see. I see someone here, Jenny, streaming from South Africa. Hi, Jenny. Oh, I think it's Jenny Parker. Great to see you, Jenny. I thought it was another Jenny. There was another Jenny that used to come, and yeah, she actually enjoyed the sessions. I haven't seen her, but I see it's a different Jenny. Awesome, awesome. Thank you for joining us, Jenny. Yeah, anyone else who's joining us, please just greet us. I know some people, end up streaming, they end up watching the recordings, but yeah, if you're here, please let me know. Cool. Thank you, Jenny Parker. And yeah, let me share my screen, and just give me a moment. Okay, cool. I hope my screen is visible. I just need to double check on LinkedIn if all is well. Um, let's see. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're all good. Yeah, we're good to go. So, guys, yeah, today we're going to talk about metal model discovery over usability testing. And some of you are wondering, why the hell am I saying this? Yeah, so I think a brief description of what meta model discovery is and what usability testing is, would also help because sometimes we do get people who are not designers who come into the sessions. So just at a summary, right? So again, I'm gonna try to be technical about this, right? The main aim is to understand how humans' past experiences influence how they think, how they make decisions, how they feel, how they understand things, and what the expectations are. Okay, so if you're designing a solution, let's say you're designing a car, people have got ideas about how a car should be driven, okay, based on their past experience. People have certain feelings about a car. Maybe, hey, a car might not be safe at a certain speed. A car is expensive. A car is expensive to buy and to maintain. Oh damn, the fuel cost, etc. Right? People can have a lot to say, about the experiences that they've had, and also, they might feel a certain way, right? And they might have made certain decisions. Maybe they decided, hey, I'm not gonna buy a car. I'll take an Uber. Maybe I'm not gonna, buy a expensive car. I'll buy a Picanto so that I can, pay it off, quickly. Or maybe I can just buy a second-hand car instead of getting a new one, right? Maybe some people are like, damn, I'll never buy a new car. I mean, I'll never buy a second-hand car. I'll always buy a new car because of the experiences that they've had, right? So, anyways, yeah, I'll talk a bit deeply about this, right? And then I want us to talk about usability testing, right? Which is really an effort to observe how people use your solution or product or service, right? So, in order to get insights and findings, so you want to observe. Well, since I was talking about cars, you want to observe how people drive your car, right? Once they get, how do they open the car? Once they get in, right? How do they adjust the seats? And once they're ready to go, right? What things should they check, right? If you're driving an automatic versus a manual, what would they do? And yeah, also how far are they willing to drive and so forth, right? And yeah, so during the journey, what what mode do they switch on to, right? So in the beginning, the certain things that they do during the journey, the certain things that they do, and then when they need to bring the car to a stop, right? There's certain things that they need to do, right? Anyways, I'm not going to go into detail about that, right? And then basically the main aim is to observe, from the beginning until the end, um, and see what they struggle with, and see, how they're reading the messages that the car is displaying to them, how they respond, how they interpret those messages, and also, you observe how they feel about driving the car, how comfortable they are, etc. Right? And then they might, tell you certain issues and challenges that they have, and so forth. So that is just, testing a product, right? And then the other one, which is a mental model discovery, they don't necessarily have to be using a product, at the time, but they can just, merely like share about their past experiences, and they share about their feelings, expectations, etc. So there's a problem with most designers, okay, and why do I talk about this, right? So as much as designers have the interest to do research, right? Of course, this will depend on your organization. You might have the privilege of having UX researchers. You might have the privilege, of having, like, uh, various disciplines within design. And in some instances, as a UX designer, you might need to do the research yourself, or as a product designer, you might need to do the research yourself, right? Sometimes we do some of these activities without deeply understanding the value that we derive, right? And how we can set ourselves up for success, right? And as a result, a lot of designers, they don't see the value of deeply understanding customers. It's like, yeah, sure, it's a nice thing to say. Oh, yeah, we need to look at our personas, etc. And some people won't even see a problem of thumb sucking, personas, right? And we often thumb suck personas, and we run with them, as if they're based on research. And so some people might make an effort to research, to get some data online, just so at least they can have an idea of whom they're designing for and so forth, right? Yeah, but to deeply understand, because the reason why I'm saying this, you'd see people designers using like bombastic terms in their design, and I'm like, bruh, but you said you're designing a solution for a helper that lives in a township, somewhere in Soweto or Kailicha. You're designing a solution that's going to be used by a gardener who's got a certain level of education, but the level of English and the terms, the choice of words, the complexity in the journey doesn't reflect who this solution is designed for. That's what I mean by saying they don't see the value of deeply understanding. Because if you do see the value, you won't just do this thing as an exercise. But when you look at your solution, it's like there's a huge disconnect, and you don't necessarily have to even to test such things. But if you are deeply, interested, and you're obsessed about understanding customers, right? We always have such opportunities, continuously. More designers are more obsessed by fancy. They're obsessed with fancy designs. What I mean is, as much as you might think you're solving the core problem, right? We don't spend a lot of time ideating, trying to understand how best can we solve the problem, but we spend more time about, you know, how awesome this experience will be perceived visually. Okay, as much as like sure, there's a place for having a visually appealing at design, but if the core problems are not solved, right, then your fancy designs don't have much value. But how do you know that the core problems are solved? Because you can't you can't define the problem yourself, because this is what happens a lot of times in meetings, with stakeholders, etc. We discuss problems, we make assumptions and about the problems. We actually we assume that whatever problems we discuss are the actual problems that are happening in the ground, and we run with those problems, and then we go as far as like designing and testing solutions based on those assumptions. And of course, you might come out of a UT feeling confident about your design just because someone was able to understand, what you're trying to achieve via the digital experience, not because you're actually addressing their core problem. Okay. So again, why am I mentioning this, right? Why am I saying, meta model discovery over usability testing? I want us as designers to be honest with ourselves, right? In terms of how we measure the quality of our work. Okay. And if you mark your own homework, you're likely to, to have, to give yourself, a decent, percentage, right? And say, yeah, sure, I'm giving myself a thumbs up, right? So we are married to our designs. I've seen this happening a lot of times, where designers, they 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 organize ability tests within hoping that very few issues, this thing will have very, very few issues, and because they believe that this thing must work. They believe that, they've done the best designs. Um, and if you don't work in like, with an open mind, right, you are likely to interpret what you observe, to your best interest. Okay. So yeah, I mean, like, these are like some of the challenges that we have, right? But anyways, yeah, I'm just gonna just give me a break. I'm just gonna come back and get some water. Okay, cool, guys. Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, so as I was saying, right, as designers, we can be obsessed with our designs, and the obsession will actually corner you, and you end up in a position where you feel like, yo, you can't change your mind, and as much as we, like, most of us say, yo, no, I am open to critique, I am open to get ideas, etc. I'm open to incorporate them, right? But deep down, we all know, I mean, I've given a lot of, like, design critique to a number of designers, and I've seen this recurring pattern, you know, and sometimes it's like you need to give a designer that message, a number of times before they can welcome it, right? Because in their heads, oh, we've done the best, we've done the best job here, right? So again, I think we'll have another session to talk about that, to address those challenges. And not having like a research-led design approach is also a big problem. And yes, in reality, a lot of us are in positions where you only have like a sprint or two sprints, to deliver a solution. And there are there are like effective ways, right? You don't necessarily have to do like a full discovery, right? And yeah, what I often do is whenever I'm doing usability testing, I will include some mental model questions, like upfront. And I'll just basically, since I was talking about cars, right? I'll just ask someone, okay, what kind of what kind of car are you driving? How long have you had it? How long have you been driving? If you do have a car, right? And please tell me about some of the challenges that you've had, and what kind of decisions did you have to make that led you to get a car, right? And how do you feel about having a car? You know, um, Even though you purchased you've bought a car, right? Sometimes you might change your decision, etc., right? And you can talk about like how a person, had to go through the process of searching for an ideal car for them, right? And then you can ask them, okay, so what is an ideal car for you? Tell us a bit about yourself, so that you can understand if this person has got a family or not, what's the current situation, and so that you can understand, how they've arrived, to their decisions, right? And yeah, so you can get like, like really like rich like feedback, right? I mean, you can spend like 20 minutes to 30 minutes doing a quick mental model discovery before you do usability testing. Because if you show your design concept, your design concepts, whether you at a design at a high level design phase or detailed design phase, right? If you show someone your solution, you're likely to influence their thinking. Okay, you might not even get an opportunity, to understand what approach a customer would typically, employ, right? And if you don't show your solution right at all upfront, and it's easy for any person to share openly without being influenced or guided, their experience, right? They might even share some rich, some valuable feedback, right? Innovative solutions based on the problem that they've faced. And sometimes we see this a lot, where when you're doing some testing, you ask, okay, sure, how do you think we can improve this, right? Even the response to that question, right, would be limited to what they've seen. Okay. And but if you ask such questions up front, right? Okay, um what would be an ideal car for you to buy, or maybe what would be an ideal way of buying a car, right, in 2023, right? And they can tell you maybe they don't need a car. Hey, no, there's Uber, things have changed, etc. This is how I do things, right? And because I no longer need to buy my grocery, I can now use a delivery app, to buy my grocery online. Therefore, the need for me to have a car to go do grocery, right, is minimized. Oh no, if you have kids, you can say, hey, there's um, a school transport, right? Or maybe there's even, maybe you are relying on Uber to pick up and drop off your kids, etc. Right? And maybe, hey, because you work from home, therefore you don't need a car. This is your current setup. I only go to the office once a week, therefore I don't need to pay for this thing to idle in a parking lot. And yeah, so as a car company, you can start thinking about how can you address this need. They need to move goods. They need to move, bodies, from A to B, still there, right? um the only difference now is that as a customer, I will use a scooter, you know from the shopping center to my place. And for a small load like grocery. Okay, maybe if I have to go away on a trip, then I can just go and hire, a car, right? Then you can start thinking about the different models. Okay, how can we provide transportation that is accessible? Because now you can see, okay, the need for ownership as has been overtaken by the need to have access, when needed, to stuff. Okay, so anyways, so that's like, the value. Okay, so I'm just highlighting, why I do have a problem with most designers when it comes to doing a mental model discovery, and also how little value they place on that activity. Okay, so anyways, what is the value of understanding mental model, right? um Sticking to this like car example, right? I said, okay, you learn from rich experiences. So this person will tell you about their situation, right? And you might not even think that, oh, okay, actually, this person would need a car in December, because in December they can hire a car for the full month because they will be up and down. And if they need to party, they need to go home. Maybe they feel safer. Maybe now they need to be in a village, where they can't easily, get an Uber because there's a village, there's low demand. Therefore, they need something that is dedicated to them, right? You can learn from that, from the rich experiences that they share with you. And because you can't possibly think of the major scenarios that can impact the customer. Okay, that's why having the the opportunity to, like, to reach out, right, will give you like a broader, like, spectrum in terms of understanding the customers, deeply, right? um so I think being also be able to prepare yourself for the element of surprise, because there'll be things that you didn't consider, okay, in your solution. And if you now go and test this thing, right, let's say you just do usability testing, um, you'll only get feedback based on what you what you shared, but that won't necessarily give you an opportunity to consider, you know, um, the customer's problem from their perspective, right? So if in this case we talk about transportation, right, moving from A to B, whether it's a human being that needs to move, or it's grocery, or it's clothes, or whatever objects, right? Your solution might be limited to that. And yeah, so without that element of surprise, because you always get like those like aha moments, right? Like, oh damn, okay, I never thought about that, or we didn't even consider that, right? Because when you are in these like in these meetings, right, um, you are discussing a problem with people that are similar to you. If all of you are using like fancy phones, you've got like fast internet, all of you are in like big cities, Cape Town, Joburg, whatever, and there's like a strong similarity, right? It's easy to generate ideas that are limited, okay? But when you recruit participants of, diverse participants, right? Um, maybe someone from Gqeberha, and maybe someone from like Bushbuck Ridge, Lubahumo, etc. Maybe someone from Pumalanga, etc. Or Northern Cape, right? You get like a diverse, you get like diverse ideas, right? And you get to understand the different problems that people are facing. Okay, being someone who's like in a village and owning a car, I have to consider, right? Damn, I need to drive on a gravel road, right? Maybe car insurance for me is not the main priority, but tire insurance is the main priority, because I'm driving on a gravel road. So therefore, that's the solution that would be much more important to me, right? Or that would be like a concern that's relevant to me, right? And also being in a village, right? What does owning a transport mean, right? Or maybe I am farming, I need to move stuff from A to B, and maybe, hey, actually we are likely to be moving in a group as opposed to be moving, as an individual, right? Because there's still like strong values of community, etc. People often give each other lifts. Then you can think about transportation differently, because of that context. Okay, learn what customers think um, is the best experience out there, right? So to learn what customers think to learn what customers think is the best experience out there, right? So that's a great opportunity, because you take an outside view, not an inside view, because based on the business slides that people have compiled, there will be some customer problems that they've cooked, and also an ideal experience that they've cooked based on the problems that they've cooked. So if everything is mostly cooked inside, it's likely to be irrelevant, to the real customers out there, right? And without being able to have an opportunity to gauge how far off is our thinking, because that on its own is dangerous, because we're gonna mark our own homework, right? So using a mental model discovery as an opportunity to learn what customers think is the best experience out there from their own lens, right? Not from the ideas that we have, internally, right? So that if we have that view, okay, we do have we have something to measure against, right? Maybe the solution is not to sell them a car, but you're busy designing a journey that will sell them the car in the fastest way. Like in this case, right, the example I was giving, someone who buys a grocery via, a deliver app, someone who's working from home, etc., right? They wouldn't give a damn about how awesome your car buying experience is, because that need is not relevant to them. Okay. So imagine if you were actually designing a solution to those kind of customers, right? And you didn't get to understand how they think and what they think the best experience is. Okay. Because for them, it's like, hey, I want stuff to come to me instead of me going out there to get stuff. Okay. So, anyways, so why focus more on mental model discovery? I'm just gonna take a moment, because I want you guys to reflect a bit. So if you've listened, right, for the past like few, I don't know, 10 minutes or 20 minutes, yes, there's value for us to still do usability testing, but there's a lot that you can derive from being obsessed about understanding the customer, right? There's a lot of value because your designs can take a much more impactful direction. Okay. Never mind the details, like, how good this journey is. Okay. Are you actually designing the right thing before you even concern yourself if you're designing it the right way? Okay. Um, so because the number of ways, right, to solve a problem, but I was solving the problem in a way that would work for the customer. Um, a lot of times we get like product owners saying, we need to prioritize this and that, etc. But when you're obsessed about mental model discovery, even your prioritization prioritization can be led by deep customer insights, because you would know what the next thing that will be impactful to them. And yeah, we know that then the this thing called the backlog, is not going to be based on someone's opinion, right? But at least it can be like, data led. And yeah, you will know what really matters to the customers because you've taken the time to deeply understand them better. Even if you don't do some of the stuff that they would expect or that would delight them, in your future enhancements, again, you can know what to enhance because your approach will be led by the customer insights. Because also when you define, MVP, I know there's like, the acronym now has got a number of things, number of interpretations, minimum viable, product, and to, well, let me not go there, but the number of interpretations of what MVP stands for. That's not the point. But the point is there's some level of effort that's going to be made to deliver as a solution in the beginning. And in that level of effort, where do you focus your energy? How do you know what will be impactful? Right. So yeah, anyways. So I just thought let me just share this with you guys. And yeah, I mean, I'll be quite keen just to hear, what you guys think, etc. And yeah, so again, right, I'm not saying doing usability testing is useless, but it can be very, very useless if you are not obsessed about understanding a customer. And I would encourage designers to spend more time to understand the customers than to spend time designing stuff in Figma. So, like, to grow the designer and to design impactful digital experiences, right? Actually, they don't have to be digital, but impactful customer experiences. You need to be obsessed about understanding customers, and there are a number of ways. And I think I will share, because as I said, right, a number of times we don't have the luxury to do a full discovery, right? That's why I said, I usually, club this thing with usability testing. Take the first 20-30 minutes to do this before I do my usability testing. And yeah, actually, if you spend a lot of your energy on model discovery, doing the mini mental model discovery, you will have a better appreciation of what I'm talking about. And there are times when I'm asking a question, engaging with the participants, when I'm doing research, I can already see what kind of solution would work for them. A lot of designers, they don't get to that state. They just ask questions, and then like, okay, but what's the value of this question? If you have no idea about what solution would work for a particular participant when you're doing a research before you show them your designs, then you've basically failed. It means you haven't well understood what's the main purpose of that exercise. And I've seen that, like, probably 80% or more of designers fall into that trap. And some people, they think that they know what they're doing, and they get to the point where, when it comes to debriefing and trying to summarize the insights and the findings, there is just no link between the mental model discovery and the usability testing that they did. You would find people making a lot of mistakes, or taking a completely different angle, because they never paid attention to the feedback that they got during the mental model discovery. And a lot of times you'd find people not probing, because I'm like, damn, this is a great opportunity to really unpack why does this person feel the way they feel, and these are the opportunities where, if you deeply understand, you will have an opportunity to enhance the experience, so that you can address the feeling that they have, or the attitude they have towards a certain solution. Anyways, let me shut up. Yeah. So yeah, I thought, let me just come and share this with you guys. And yeah, I'll set up another session shortly for next week. and I'll try to take like 30 minutes. Actually, it's something that I just thought about. I'm like, hey, maybe if I just make these sessions shorter instead of doing an hour. But anyways, let's see. Have an awesome day, an awesome week, guys, and let's see each other next week. Cheers.